just a small rant video today around something that's pretty fundamental to my approach to my work, to being a vocal coach, to teaching. And that is that I have a fundamental belief that there is no right and wrong. There is no one right way to sing, one right way to approach a song, especially in contemporary music. I think I am not a classically trained singer, and in singing classical music, I think there are a lot more stylistic rules around, like, this is the way that this has to be approached. But for contemporary music, it's all about interpretation. And it's like, this is your version of this song. And yes, there are certain kinds of sounds and vocal qualities that are more common in certain genres. You can describe, like, what are some common elements of a folky sound or a jazzy sound or a funk and soul kind of sound. There are definitely musical and technical approaches which are commonly used or appropriate to certain genres, but really at the end of the day, it's about, how do you want to sing this song? What kind of sound do you want to make? And I'm on this rant today because I hear this so often from my beginner clients who are really new to singing, as well as people like someone who I just worked with today, who is someone who's had a few different voice lessons with different people, has studied at a conservatorium, and has gotten confused by instructions by teachers they've worked with in terms of, when a teacher is trying to instruct on how to sing a song, like how you should approach this, saying maybe something like, place the sound forward, which is a really common imagery-based instruction that a lot of voice teachers use. What does it mean to place the sound forward? What is actually forward resonance? There's a lot of disagreement around that, and I'm not going to get into the technicalities of that right now, but basically these terms can mean something totally different coming from one teacher than it can from another teacher. They might mean totally different things by that, because it's a perceptual thing, and we might feel something as forward. One person might feel a sound as forward that's different to what another person feels as forward, different vocal settings, and just using the same language to describe it. So it can be really confusing for someone to have, a voice lesson with someone who is giving an instruction, and you're going, okay, you're like listening to their demonstration, you're listening to the instruction that they're giving, and you're like, I think I know what you're trying to get me to do. And if I'm trying to do it, like, I'm just trying to mimic what you're doing, like it's a bit trial and error. And then the teacher goes, yep, that's it. And you're like, okay, I think I know what that sounded like or what that felt like. And you go away and try to practice it, and you're like, am I doing it? I don't really know if I'm doing it. So this is why I find, like, working with anatomy-based technique and going like, okay, if you want to make this kind of sound, this is what's physically going on. Your thyroid cartilage is tilting, it's stretching your vocal folds longer and thinner. It creates a sweetness to the sound. It does X, Y, Z. I'm just using that as an example. It could be any number of mechanisms, any number of sounds that we're trying to achieve. But when teachers just teach from this, like, when they're guiding your artistry, people can get the impression that there is a one right way to approach this. And for me, if a teacher is not telling me, like, why they want me to do something a certain way, like, okay, you want me to place it forward, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what you mean by that. I think I figured that out. Why? Is this solving a vocal problem? Is it going to make it easier for me to hit that note? Or is it, like, about the sound that we're creating? Because the sound that you're creating is your personal artistic choice. This is subjective. Yeah. So coming back to, like, there is no one right way. It's not like you're doing it wrong if you sing this kind of sound instead of this kind of sound. Do you want to make it clear? Do you want to make it breathy? Do you want to make it bright? Do you want to make it dark? These are your personal, as the artist, as the performer, it's up to you how you want to interpret that song and this kind of sound that you want to make. And for me personally, this is how I approach being a vocal coach. My job is to help people access the kind of sounds that they want to make. So I'm not here to make anybody sound a particular way. Like, I have, of course, as a listener, I have my own, subjective preferences for artistry in terms of what kind of sounds I like to hear. And I like to hear a range of sounds, really. So, but as a vocal coach, I'm not here like, okay, you should sing this song this way. if somebody's having trouble with something and like, this is hard, or it feels uncomfortable, or I don't like this sound, I'm like, okay, how would you want it to feel? How would you want it to sound? And then it's a matter of troubleshooting what settings are your mechanisms on that are not helping you access that, and let's adjust those mechanisms. Or I'm also happy to make suggestions for artistry. So sometimes if we've kind of sorted out like troubleshooting technique, there's no real problems to solve, and then someone goes, I want your opinion on this. I want to know, like, how would you suggest I approach this artistically? What artistic choices in terms of the sound quality, and all the other stuff that can go into artistry, dynamics, delivery, like the rhythmic delivery, all that kind of thing. And then I'm happy to give my feedback on that. Like, oh, what if you tried it this way? Like, let's try, think of it this way, try this kind of sound, try this kind of emphasis. Do you like that? Again, like, I can make suggestions based on what I think might be cool. And a lot of people, appreciate that kind of subjective artistry and performance-based feedback. But at the end of the day, it's totally up to the singer, how they want to interpret it. They're like, I'm not really into that. I'm like, great, that's, we have different taste in that thing. Then you are the singer. You should make your taste choices. So this has been a rant that's covered a couple different things, but this is my rant for today. There is no right and wrong in singing. There is no one way that you should be singing that song, whatever that song is, something folky, something jazz, whatever, pop song. How do you want it to sound? How do you want it to feel? That's what I am here as a vocal coach to help you achieve. So we can look at the technique for that, but at the end of the day, it's not up to me how you sing or what kind of sound you make. That's up to you, and it's my job to help you find that. That's my rant for today.